Good evening, everyone. Guys, am I audible? Yeah, thank you. So, for the last session, we have seen a scenario where we assume hacker is in our network and hacker is trying to capture the traffic between two different systems in a network. Right. So, when administrator is trying to log into the server or administrator is trying to access the server, we have seen how hacker can use sniffers to capture the traffic. Right. So not only this particular scenario where a hacker can try to capture your passwords by sniffing the traffic. If a hacker is not in your network, because yesterday uh, I was saying that sniffing will only be possible if hacker is in your network. But what happens if the hacker is not in your network? If hacker is somewhere on internet, so if hacker is somewhere on internet, will it be possible for a hacker to perform sniffing activity? So what do you think? If hacker is somewhere on internet, will it be possible for a hacker to sniff the traffic? So you are the administrator, hacker is in a different location. So will it be possible for a hacker to sniff your traffic? So if hacker is not in your network, if hacker is somewhere on internet, right, it will not be possible for a hacker to sniff your traffic. Okay, so that's our primary requirement. Hacker and victim should be in the same network. If hacker and victim are in two different networks, right, hacker will not be able to sniff the traffic. Okay, so is that clear? If hacker is not in the same network as a victim, hacker will not be able to perform sniffing. So is it clear, everyone? Yeah. So in such conditions, what can a hacker do? If hacker is unable to sniff the traffic, is there any other way for a hacker to capture the passwords and all that? So there are different techniques what hackers are using if hacker is unable to sniff for the passwords. So there are techniques like phishing attack, right? There are techniques like phishing attack. Right? So phishing is a password stealing technique where a hacker can try to create a fake website. Hacker can try to create a fake website which looks exactly similar to the original page, right? So hacker will create a fake web page which looks exactly similar to the original page, right? And whenever end user tries to type the user ID and password, assuming that this is the correct website, right? That user ID and password can be captured by the hacker, right? So hacker creates a fake web page, distribute the link of this fake web page to the end user, right? And if the end user assumes that this is the correct web page and try to log in or try to type the password, hacker will be able to capture that particular passwords, whatever has been typed, right? Phishing is a very old technique, right? Nothing new. Phishing is a very old technique, right? Is easy to perform and is also very effective, right? So it is easy to perform and is also one of the most effective techniques, right? So all a hacker need to do is create a fake web page, distribute the link of this fake web page to the end users. So for distribution, hacker can give up different sort of descriptions like uh, it can be a confirmation email, or it can be a verification email, or it can be a WhatsApp message or SMS message, right? So I'll show you how actually hacker can create this phishing page. And generally when we say you have to create a page, we assume like maybe we need to do some programming or we'll have to write some code and all that. But even that is not necessary when you go with the phishing part, right? So you have some applications, right, which are available on Kali Linux, which will help you directly to create a phishing page and also to host it. So not just creating the phishing page, it will also help you in hosting that particular phishing page, right? So I'll show you how exactly that is. Are you able to view my VM? Okay. So to launch the phishing attack, right, all a hacker needs to do is have an application called Zfisher. So Zfisher is a phishing tool, right, or a phishing application. And this Zfisher is installed on the Kali Linux VM, which I have shared with you, right? So you don't have to manually download and install it separately. Zfisher is already installed on the VM, which I have given you. Right? So what you need to do is say cd Zfisher. So by default, you will be into the home directory, right? So within the home directory, the Zfisher application is also available. So what you are going to do is first navigate to the Zfisher directory. So once you navigate to Zfisher directory, then you will be able to launch the application. Right? So here if I see, you see there is a file here, shell script with the name as zfisher.sh. So here what you do is start this application, the Zfisher application. So to start, you just say sudo dot slash sudo dot slash zfisher dot sh. Sorry, forgot to sh. Okay, so once I say sudo dot slash zfisher dot sh, as you can see, Zfisher application would start and show you what all phishing pages you will be able to make, what all phishing pages you will be able to create, right? So all we need to do is select whatever the phishing page we wanted to create. You don't need to create a new web page, or you don't have to write some code. All you need to do is select what kind of phishing page do you want to make. Right. Now let's say for example, I'll go with option number 3. I want to make the Google phishing page. Right. So give the option as 3. And then it says, what kind of page do you want? Do you want the new Gmail login page or the old Gmail login page? So what do you want? So let me say I want the new Gmail login page. So I'm selecting option number as 2. And then it says, how do you want to host this particular fake web page? So whatever fake web page you create, how do you want to host it? Right. So here, let me say, I want to host it with the Cloudflare service. So here, if you see, on my computer, I don't have a public IP address. I did not purchase any domain name from a domain registrar, right? So I'm just trying to directly use Cloudflare, a free service, and host my phishing page, right? If required, I can also purchase a domain name and all. I can request my ISP for a public IP address. So there, whatever the link that I'm going to share it with the end user, right, will be with a domain name that I have purchased. Right? So here, you'll have to get a proper link from Cloudflare. Okay, as you see, looks like I didn't get a link properly from Cloudflare. So let me just try with a different provider. We'll just try it with Cloudflare once more. We'll see if we can get a proper URL. So sometimes when you go with this free service providers, right, you may have some issue, right, like what we are facing now. Let me try NGRock. We'll see. NGRock was not really stable in the last few weeks, but we'll see. No, unfortunately, NGRock also did not work. Okay, let me go with the local hosting. Okay, so I've hosted the fake web page locally on my system itself, right? And then I'm just trying to see if I can get a URL from NGRock. NGRock is also like Cloudflare, which will give you with a direct URL, so you don't need to purchase a domain name and all, right? Uh, it says it's unable to connect. Okay, so unfortunately, NGRock doesn't seem to work. We can just check here, like how exactly the page looks like, but it would be better if we have a URL. So as you see, this is how it shows you a page, right? So when you are giving it via NGRock or when you share it via Cloudflare, right? So when the end user clicks on the link, this is how they see a web page, right? Google login page, right? Now in this Google login page, as you see, it is asking you for some user ID and password, right? So user tries to type something like, say, I type as Raghu at gmail.com and the password as, say, Raghu at 1234 hash, and say sign in. So whatever the detail that the end user types, whatever user ID and password the end user is typing, So that information, whatever is given in the web browser by the end user, will be captured by this uh, Zfisher application. So as you see, it is capturing the given user ID and the password. So whatever has been typed by the end user, that information has been captured. Right. So this is how once end user receives a link, tries to type some user ID or password there, assuming that the link is a original one, right? A hacker will be able to directly capture the user IDs and passwords. Right. So did you guys get the concept? What is happening in the phishing attack? Yeah. So hackers try with different methods to steal our user IDs and passwords. Right. So one method we have seen yesterday is if hacker is in the local network, hacker can try with capturing our user IDs and passwords through sniffing method. But say if hacker is not in our local network, hacker is somewhere on internet, then in that case, to capture our user ID and password, one technique that the hacker can use is something called phishing attack, where a hacker has to create a fake web page, a fake login page, distribute the link of this fake login page to the end user. So once the end user receives the link, assuming that this is the original page, if end user types that user ID and password, that can be captured by the hacker, right? But when you speak about this phishing in Zfisher application, as you see, I have an option of creating multiple phishing pages. I'll be able to create multiple phishing pages, as you can see. But is there a guarantee that the end user is going to click on all the links of your phishing pages and type the password? So you may create links for 10 different phishing pages, right? And you may distribute it to the end user. But there's no guarantee that the end user is going to click on all the 10 links that you have shared, right? So in such condition, if there is an alternative method where you will be able to capture all the passwords of an end user, will it be much better? So if there is a technique where you will be able to capture all the passwords of an end user, will that be better compared to taking a chance with the phishing attack? Because phishing, maybe you create 10 or 20 link, right? But there's no guarantee that end user is going to click and give the passwords on all those 10 or 20 links. Right. So end user may only give the password on one link, right? So if you want all the passwords, then phishing is not a proper option for us, right? Phishing is not going to help us. So in such conditions, hackers are actually going with a different approach called key logging. So hackers are going with a different approach called key logging. So we call those tools as key loggers, right? Now this key logger is a combination of two different words. Key, which means your keystroke. So whatever you type on the keyboard, your keystroke is the key, right? Log is nothing but a simple record. right? Log is nothing but a simple record. So here when you speak about key logging, it means it's going to record your keystrokes. So a keylogger is something which is going to record your keystrokes. So whatever you type on the system, right? So those information, like it can be a user ID, it can be a password, like whatever you are typing, that will be captured by a keylogger. And these keyloggers, you have both hardware as well as software type. You have the hardware keylogger and also software keyloggers, right? So when you speak about a hardware keylogger, this is how they look like. So let me just power on this VM. I'll show you how exactly the hardware keyloggers look like. Okay, so here, when I search for hardware keyloggers, right, as you can see, this is how they look like. Now see this. This is the cable which is coming from your keyboard, and that's the CPU. And you see this small attachment here. So this device, the attachment, this is the hardware keylogger. So that's a USB type. You also have the PS2 type. So see this, the purple adapter is your keyboard cable, and there's a small adapter between the keyboard cable and your CPU. So this adapter, this black one, this is your keylogger, right? So what this keylogger does, whenever you are trying to type something on the keyboard, right? Whatever you type, those signals from the keyboard has to pass through this cable via the keylogger to your CPU. Now, job of this keylogger is to capture all those keystrokes, whatever you are typing, right? It can be a user ID, it can be a password, it can be a website URL, or maybe you're just typing something on a notepad, whatever it is. It captures all the uh, keystrokes, right? And record them, right? So that's the job of this keylogger. But here, when you speak about this hardware keyloggers, even though they are able to capture your keystrokes, record all the activities and all, like what all you type, you still have some small issues. Some minor issues are there with the keylogger. Now, as you see, this is a physical device. So assume you are a hacker and you want to attach a keylogger to my computer so that you can steal my passwords and all. Do you need access to my computer? Do you need physical access to my computer? Yes, you will need physical access to my computer because you'll have to connect that keylogger to my system. Right. Okay. So let's say somehow you have managed to get physical access to my computer and you have connected the keylogger. Now this keylogger will not have lot of storage like say 2 GB, 3 GB, and all this. It will have some small storage, right? So generally, your keyloggers come with around 4 MB or 8 MB of storage. So now tell me, will 4 MB storage really be okay for you to capture the keystrokes? 4 MB or 8 MB of storage will be there on a keylogger. So is that okay? 4 MB or 8 MB of storage? So if you are only trying to capture some keystrokes, right, that should be sufficient, right? But unfortunately, uh, whether will you be able to get all the required user IDs and passwords depends on how much the end user is using it. Means how much typing activity is going on the system. Now, let's say, unfortunately, at the time when you have connected the keylogger, end user is working on maybe some documentation, or end user is trying to prepare some report of some activity, right? All the keystrokes, whatever you capture using the keylogger, right, everything will be related to the documentation only. You may not be able to get any user IDs or passwords, right? So depends, right, depending on what actually is going on at that point of time, right, when you are trying to capture the keystrokes. So that's one issue. Then let's say the user ID and password is already saved on the web browser. So end users, they have a habit, right? Let's say the user ID and password have already been saved on the web browser. So if user ID and password is already saved on the web browser, will you be able to see the username and password even though you have a keylogger? No, because web browser is automatically pasting that user ID and password onto the login field, right? And end user is not typing anything, right? So if end user is not typing anything, obviously your hardware keylogger will not receive any keystrokes from the keyboard, and you will not be able to see that detail, right? And if you speak about some websites, especially when I speak about the banking related websites and all that, they always advise, instead of typing the password, use a on-screen keyboard, use a virtual keyboard, on-screen keyboard, and click the password. So when user is trying to use on-screen keyboard and user is clicking the password, will this hardware keylogger be able to capture that activity? What do you say? Will the hardware keylogger capture it? Again, that would not be possible, right? And if you look at all these images, what we have here for the hardware keylogger, right? You see, everywhere there is a small attachment which has to be connected to your CPU. Now, assume your victim or your target is not using a CPU, is not using a desktop. Your target is using a laptop. Now, will you see the keyboard cable coming out of the laptop chassis so that you can connect a keylogger there? So you will not be able to connect a keylogger there because the keyboard cable itself is not coming out of that. So the keyboard cable is directly getting connected to your motherboard, right? So if the keyboard cable itself is not coming out of the chassis, where should I connect my hardware keylogger? The hardware keylogger should be connected to the keyboard cable, right? So it should be between the CPU and the keyboard cable. But my keyboard cable is directly getting connected to the CPU, right? Directly connecting to the motherboard within the laptop. So obviously, there's no way I'll be able to connect a hardware keylogger in that case, right? And what if my victim is not using a physical keyboard itself. Victim is using a tablet or maybe a Surface Book or a iPad or maybe an Android device. You don't see physical keyboards there, right? So everything that you see is a on-screen keyboard, a virtual keyboard. So in such condition, will we really be able to use a hardware keylogger? No, a hardware keylogger will not be helpful if end user is not using a physical keyboard, right? So keeping in mind all these limitations that we have with a hardware keylogger, hackers are now using software keyloggers. So instead of hardware keyloggers, hackers are now using software keyloggers. So in software keyloggers, what happens? You don't need to visit the victim's location or visit the victim's computer to connect it. Right? It's a software. So what you can do is distribute the software, right? Distribute the software and let the end user install the software on their computer. Right? Let the end user itself install the software on their computer. You don't have to manually do it on the victim's computer anyway. Right? Right. So let me show you how a software keylogger would work. Right? And a software keylogger is giving you a solution for all the problems that we have discussed with the hardware keylogger. No need to have physical access to the victim's computer. There's a software, you can distribute it, let the end user download and install it. Of course, you have to trick the end user to download and install it. Right. And then regarding the storage space, again, no limitation of 4 or 8 MB. You can uh, prepare your software keylogger to use as much storage as available on the local hard drive. So you can say use up to 1 GB, use up to 4 GB. So depending on whatever free space is available on the hard drive. And then irrespective of whether end user is typing the password or end user is using a on-screen keyboard, right? You will still be able to capture those user IDs and passwords with a software, right? So even if end user is not typing the password, end user is directly uh, using a software keyboard or end user has already saved the user ID passwords on a web browser, a software keylogger will still be able to capture those details or capture those records, right? And then how do we get the captured user IDs and passwords? In case of hardware keylogger, you'll have to again go back to the victim's computer, remove the keylogger, bring it back to your computer so that you can see what all user IDs and passwords have been captured. But if it is a software, do you need to go to the victim's computer and see what all activities have been captured? Not necessary. You don't need to go to the victim's location to see the keystrokes, right? What all have been captured and all. It's a software, so you can uh, configure the software in such a way. Let the software send all the captured user IDs and passwords on your email, right? So wherever you are, right, irrespective of your location, right, you just have to keep checking the email to see what all user IDs and passwords have been captured. Right? So that's how this software keyloggers are actually solving all the limitations that you have on the hardware keylogger. But when you speak about a hardware keylogger can be detected by the end user only if they know what kind of cables are getting connected to their computer. So if end user is not a technical person who understands how many different cables and what kind of different cables get connected to the system, they'll not be able to identify that there is a hardware keylogger connected. But when you speak about a software keylogger, Does a computer already have a built-in security system? Does your computer's operating system, does it have a built-in security system already? So it has a built-in security system. And let's say, even if the built-in security system is not so good, there are chances that your victim might have installed a third-party security system. Maybe some antivirus or something has been installed by the end user. There is a chance, right? So will these third-party applications detect the keylogger and block it? So this third-party software, the third-party security solutions can detect the keylogger and block it. So here, when you speak about the software keyloggers, you see you'll be getting two different type of keyloggers, right? You'll be getting two different type of keyloggers, right? The first type is the normal software keyloggers, right? Simple software keyloggers, right? And these simple keyloggers can easily be detected by your antivirus applications and all, right? So those simple keylogging softwares can easily be detected by the antivirus softwares, right? And then you have another category of keyloggers which are called fully undetected versions, right? So the other kind of keyloggers are called fully undetected versions, and this fully undetected versions are installed in something called stealth mode, right? The fully undetected versions are installed in something called stealth mode, right? Now what this stealth mode means, whatever software that is installed in a stealth mode will not be visible to your operating system. So a software that is installed in stealth mode will not be visible to the operating system. So if the software is not visible to operating system, will your security solution be able to identify and block that application? So you have installed a software some ABC, but that software ABC is not visible to your security system, right? So will that software be blocked? So if the software itself is not visible, right? Obviously that cannot be blocked, right? So the keyloggers which support stealth mode, right, cannot be identified by your antivirus applications or any of your other security tools. So if they are not identified by the security tools, obviously they will not be able to block them, right? And hackers, what they do is always prefer installing stealth keyloggers. Hackers always prefer installing stealth keyloggers on the victim's computer, right? Now, the advantage of having a stealth keylogger, the keylogger will be present on the victim's computer, but victim would not be able to understand that there is a keylogger. Victim will not know that there is a keylogger installed on their computer, right? So let me show you how this stealth keyloggers would work. So these keyloggers, they are classified as spyware tools, right? So the keyloggers are classified as spywares. So why we call them as spyware is because that particular software, the keylogger, is spying on the user activity. So it tries to spy on the user activity, try to see what actually the end user is trying to do and all, right? So it is called as a spyware, right? So when you speak about the keylogger, right, you are going to install the keylogger on your computer. So as a hacker, you are going to install the keylogger on your own computer first. Then you do all the configurations. You configure the keylogger. Once the keylogger has been configured as per your requirements, then you will be distributing this keylogger to the victim, right? So you first install the keylogger on your own system as a hacker, then do the configurations. Once the configuration is done, then you will distribute the keylogger to end users or the victims, right? So here I am installing the keylogger on the hacker's computer itself, right? And I'll say try to capture some activities like what all keystrokes have been typed, right? What all activities are running on the computer, right? So I'm saying take screenshots of the user activity, make a list of all the websites that the end user is trying to access, right? Social media networks, call recordings, web camera shots, right? So I'm saying all the activities of an end user has to be captured. Okay, so here as you see, once the keylogger has been installed, it is giving you a shortcut key, Control Shift Alt K. So it says by typing this keys, Control Shift Alt K, you will be able to access the keylogger, right? So the keylogger what I have installed now is a stealth keylogger, right? It is a stealth keylogger. So to access this keylogger, you will need a shortcut key, Control Shift Alt K, right? So it is asking me to reboot my system. So let me just complete that reboot. Then I will do the configuration. I'll make all the required configurations, and then we will be able to distribute it to the end user. Okay, so here as you see on the desktop, you have a shortcut created for this keylogger software. Now remember, this is on the hacker's computer, not on the victim's computer, right? So this is on the hacker's computer. Now when you start doing the configurations, right? Now see, once you have opened this application, the Refog keylogger, the shortcut which was available earlier on the desktop, that particular shortcut has now disappeared. So it's gone. So you will not see this shortcut on the desktop of the system permanently, right? That is only available for you to access it for the first time. So once you are able to access it for the first time, then this particular shortcut on the keyboard will on the desktop will be lost. Now here I go to settings. Not many changes are required, right? All you need to do is uh, give some specific things, like say when it comes to taking screenshots, you have to say how long the computer has to wait before taking a screenshot, or how frequently it has to take screenshots. So I say take screenshots once in every 30 seconds, right? So every 30 seconds, try to take a screenshot. So we'll be having more number of screenshots, and we'll also be able to see uh, what actually the end user is trying to do. We'll be able to see very frequently what actually is happening on the user's computer, right? And then I say make a screenshot when new window is open and also when mouse clicks are detected. So mouse click, you remember we were discussing about the on-screen keyboards or virtual keyboards, right? So if end user is trying to use a on-screen keyboard or a virtual keyboard, right, you'll be able to capture those keystrokes using the option make screenshot on mouse click, right? And then always say take screenshot of only the active window. Don't take a screenshot of the full screen. Apply the changes. Social networks or chat, instant messengers, nothing to be changed, right? And for the website, I say make a screenshot of the website also. So at least we'll know uh, what was a website that end user has accessed. We'll also be able to see which website is accessed by the end user. Then clipboard, program activity, user activity, no changes. On the web camera, I can say maybe for every 10 minutes, try to click a picture of the user. Also click a picture of the user when they log into the computer for the first time. And then finally, in the invisibility, here you can see Control Shift Alt K is the key combination given, right? Now this you can disable or change if you purchase a license. But the software what I'm using currently is a trial version, so you don't have an option of completely disabling this keystroke, right? So Control Shift Alt K is the shortcut key, right? Control Shift Alt K is the shortcut key using which you can access the keylogger application, right? And then in the delivery, I can choose how exactly my uh, my keylogger has to give me the logs and all. So I can say deliver all the logs on my email ID. So I can give the email address. So here, when you want all the logs on your email, right? This keylogger application will behave as a email client. The keylogger application behaves as an email client. So here, as you see, the email address on which you are going to receive the emails and the email ID which is going to send the email will both be the same. So you also have to give the password of your user account, right, for it to deliver the logs. If not, it will not be able to deliver the log. So once you do all the changes as per your requirements, then you can close the application, right? So now the keylogger has been installed. You did the configuration, right? So as of now, we will try to do some activities and see if keylogger can capture our activities or not. We'll just try to check if keylogger can capture our activities or not. If it is able to capture our activities, good, right? So let me say I'll try to type something on my keyboard, right? So this particular text, I have used my physical keyboard to type it. Let me also use a virtual keyboard, right? So I have typed some text using the virtual keyboard, right? Let me also try to copy some special characters and see if the keylogger will be able to capture the special characters or not. So for this, let me access the character map. So in character map, you will be able to see some special uh, characters and all, which are not directly accessible through your keyboard, right? So maybe these are all characters belonging to different languages and all, right? I'll just try to copy and paste them here. We'll see what happens, whether will we be able to do it. So as you can see, yes, we are able to copy and paste this keystrokes, right? Sorry, not the keystrokes, some special characters. Let us also try to access some web page, try to give some user ID and password. We'll see if we'll be successful or not. Let me try to log in. Okay, so I've given some user ID and password. No need to submit it because we are not testing a phishing page, right? We are testing a keylogger. So whatever I have typed, the keylogger should have captured it. So we'll verify that. And then before we see if keylogger has captured our activities or not, let us see if we can find the keylogger on this computer, right? So as an end user, let me see if I can find the keylogger on this system, right? So where do we begin? Shall we check with the start menu? So I go to start menu, all apps. So as you see, there's no entry with R, right? So there's no entry with the alphabet R. So the refog keylogger, I'm unable to see that, right? Let me check with the task manager. Again, no application running with the R, right? So the refog keylogger, this thing is not available. Let me check with add or remove programs. Again, in add or remove programs, I don't have anything with R, so the refog keylogger part is not available, right? Let me go to my C drive. Let me see in the program files if I can find refog keylogger. So program files, again, nothing about refog keylogger. Let us also check program files x86. No. Even if I try to give that particular keyword as refog, right, you'll not be able to find any result, right? So that, so as of now, when I look into my system, right, it's as if like the keylogger is not installed, right? Yeah, when you speak about the hidden folders, let us also check that. Show hidden files. Okay, so I have enabled the hidden files view also, right? And here there's only one hidden file, only one folder here, uninstall information and Windows apps, right? So Windows apps, These are like the apps that you have installed from Microsoft Store, and as you can see, your operating system is very clearly denying you from accessing it, right? Then uninstall information, there's nothing, it's empty. Then program files x86, no hidden folders, right? So even if I try to look into the hidden folders, I am unable to see the keylogger, right? So now let us just try to access that shortcut key and see if we can find the keylogger or not. So the shortcut key is Control Shift Alt K. Okay, so here there's a reminder which says the keylogger will only be active for 7 days. So within 7 days, you'll have to purchase a license. If not, the keylogger will expire, right? Okay, so anyway, we'll say I'll purchase it later on. So we'll see if keylogger has captured our activities or not. So here in the Windows Explorer, in the run prompt, I was typing Notepad. So as you see, it has captured my keystrokes, whatever I have typed in the run prompt. Then in the Notepad application, I have typed testing refog keylogger. Then I have again gone to the run prompt, and in the run prompt, I am typing OSK to access on-screen keyboard. Right. So that was captured. And then in Notepad, I was typing something as testing OSK, right? So testing the on-screen keyboard. So good, that's also captured. And then in the run prompt, I have typed character map, right? To see multiple characters and all the special characters. And as you see, that is also captured. And on the Firefox browser, I have typed Twitter, I have given some user ID and some password and all, right? And here, as you see, that has been captured as well, right? Then I have typed appwich.cpl to access this add or remove programs, right? Then screenshots of all my activities. So what all activities are done by the end user, as you can see, right? So it's showing you all the details. So all the activities that end user is trying to do, right? So all those activities have been captured, right? And you have the screenshots. Then websites visited, yes, it is showing you what all websites we have visited, right? So we can also see that clipboard, all those special characters, what we were trying to capture, right? So can we say this keylogger is capturing all the user activity? Yes, keylogger is capturing all the user activity, and at the same time, is the keylogger visible to the end user? So as you see, keylogger is capturing all the user activities. So whatever end user does, keylogger is able to capture it, but keylogger is not visible to the end user, right? So end user will not be able to see that there is a keylogger installed on their computer because keylogger is installed in stealth mode, right? So it is in stealth mode, so end user would not see that there is a keylogger installed on their system. So now tell me which password stealing method is dangerous, sniffing, phishing, or keylogging? Which is more dangerous, sniffers, phishing, or keyloggers? So keylogger is a more dangerous one, right? And as I explained, Vijay, if the keylogger that is used by the hacker is a fully undetected version, that is, if it supports stealth mode, right, then your anti-malware will not be able to identify it. Right? And all these keystrokes, what all have been captured, will be delivered to the hacker directly on their email. Okay. So if you recollect, I was saying that as of now, the keylogger is only installed on the hacker's computer. This is not yet distributed to end user. This is not yet sent to the end user. This is only installed on the hacker's machine. Right. Now, to distribute this keylogger to the end user or the victim, hacker can create a remote installer. Hacker can create a remote installer. So once a remote installer is created, once you initiate it, it will ask you where exactly do you want to place this installer. So let me say on the desktop, I want to create a new folder as say refog, where all these files should be dumped. Okay. So now on the desktop, I have a folder where I have three files. The first file is key.bin, which is a license file, right? Key.bin is a license file which tells how long is the license valid, how long your keylogger should be functional and all. The second file is a keylogger installer file, and the third is a settings.bin, which is a binary file which contains all the configuration settings, like what all things we have done on the keylogger, right? So these files have to be distributed to the end user. So once these files are executed on the end user's computer, right, the keylogger will be installed and it will start capturing all the activities and share it to us. Now the only problem is sharing three different files to the end user and expecting them to install or expecting them to execute it, right? Will it really be successful? Because if it is one single file, it will be easy for us to distribute and also trick the end user to download and install it or download and execute it compared to having three different files. What do you say? If it is a single file, will it be easy? Or if it is three different files, will it be easy? Single file will be much easy for distribution, and not only distribution, single file will also be easy for you to convince the end user. So when you tell the end user to download and install some application, if it is a single file, it will be much easy, right? So what we need is we have to make these three different files into a single package. That's a requirement. So to do that, I'll use a different tool to bind this three different files into a single package. I'll use a different tool called exe bundle, which is a free software. Now this is a binder. So when you say binder, the job of this application is to bind multiple packages into a single package. So here, as you see, exe bundle, this is how you have the application. It will let you bind 6 different files into a single package. So 6 different or six different individual packages or six individual applications or files can be bundled into a single package, right? Now, here when you speak about adding this files and all, as a hacker, I would also try a different approach. Instead of binding the keylogger files as it is, if I can bind this keylogger file to something else, will it be easy for me for distribution? Like say, instead of only sending the keylogger file, if I can attach this to say MS Office crack or Windows crack, will it be easy for me to distribute? Because if I say that this is a MS Office crack or Windows crack, I don't have to give any further explanations to the end user, right? End user themselves will download and install it on their computer. So what I will do is, in the file 1, in the first slot, I will take up some other software like MS Office or Office crack or something, right? Apps for binding. Okay, so I'll take up this Microsoft Toolkit, which can be used for cracking MS Office package or your Windows package and all, right? So to this MS Office, to this Microsoft Toolkit, I will attach the keylogger, and I want this uh, Microsoft Toolkit to be executed. So I'll leave the checkbox enabled. The second file should be my refog keylogger. Okay, so I'll select the refog keylogger, right? But here you will see error when you're trying to execute it. That's because this application exe bundle will not accept .msi file. It will only accept .exe, and the refog folder what you have is a .msi. So I have a solution for it. I'll use a software called MSI to exe converter. So I'll convert this file, the .msi file, into the .exe file, and then in my exe bundle I'll use that. So .exe, and should this keylogger file be executed on the user computer? So guys, what do you say? Should this keylogger file, should it be executed on the user computer? Yes. So the Microsoft Toolkit should be executed, and also the keylogger file should be executed. And when you are using a package like exe bundle, right, only the file that is selected in the first slot, only the execution of that file will be visible to the end user. Execution of all the other files will not be visible to the end user. Means end user will see Microsoft Toolkit being executed on their computer because that's what we have selected in the first slot, but they will not see the keylogger being executed on their computer, right? So whatever you select on second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth slots will not be visible to the end user. So they will only see the Microsoft Toolkit being executed. In the third slot, I'll take the settings.bin, and fourth slot, the key.bin file. Now, settings and key, these are bin files. They're binary files, means they're already executed. So you don't need this execute button to be enabled here. So you are only going to execute two files. The first file, the original software, and the second one, your keylogger file, right? And then you can say this is say win11crack.exe and bundle it. So now you have a new file called win11crack.exe. So this is the new file which has the Microsoft Toolkit application right? The crack application along with the keylogger attachment, right? So when this particular file is downloaded and executed by the end user, they'll only see the crack application being executed. They'll not see the keylogger getting executed on their computer, but along with the crack application, the keylogger will also be executed and installed on the user computer, right? And once it is installed, keylogger will activate itself and start capturing all the keystrokes or the screenshots and all, and start sending you the updates. Now here, uh, is everyone clear what a hacker is trying to do? I have a small question. Can I ask you? So let's say I'm a hacker. I have distributed the keylogger by attaching it to some software, right? Let's say I have attached it to uh, the Microsoft Toolkit and I have distributed. Now the victim has downloaded this package, has installed Microsoft Toolkit. So along with Microsoft Toolkit, my keylogger also got installed. Later on, after activating or after cracking their Windows, or maybe after cracking their MS Office package, end user has uninstalled Microsoft Toolkit. So if end user has uninstalled Microsoft Toolkit, will the keylogger also be uninstalled, or will the keylogger still remain on the user computer? So end user has downloaded and installed the package. Now the package contains Microsoft Toolkit, which is a crack software, and the keylogger software. Then end user has uninstalled the Microsoft Toolkit. So will this keylogger still be present, or will it also be gone? So here, even if the Microsoft Toolkit software has been removed, keylogger will still be there on the victim's computer. Keylogger will still stay there, because what end user has done here, after installing the package, right? The Microsoft Toolkit package, there are actually two softwares which got installed. One is a Microsoft Toolkit software, the other is a keylogger. And what was uninstalled is only the Microsoft Toolkit, not the actual keylogger, right? So because only the Microsoft Toolkit has been removed, keylogger will still remain there. And as we have already seen, keylogger is in stealth mode, right? Keylogger is in stealth mode. Obviously, end user is not aware of the keylogger on their computer, right? So there is no way for end user to remove it. So keylogger will still be present on the end user's computer, and it will still be active. It will start capturing all the user activities and share all the captured information to the hacker through their email. Is it clear? Keyloggers, unfortunately, they do not contain the uninstall options, right? So the stealth mode keyloggers, especially, they don't have that uninstall options, right? So once installed, it is always present on the end user computer, right? So now, as anyway, we are speaking about uninstallation or stopping the keylogger, right? Uh, I'll give you with two different scenarios. I want you to identify a solution for those two scenarios and let me know in the next session. The first scenario, let's say uh, you are in a situation where you have to access internet from a third party computer, right? So you don't have your mobile or you don't have your laptop or anything. You have to access internet from a third party computer, like maybe some cyber cave or somewhere, some unknown computer. So do you know what all softwares are installed on that unknown computer? So we do not know what all softwares are installed on the unknown computer. Is there a chance that that particular unknown computer has a keylogger? So there is a chance that this unknown computer has a keylogger. So if that unknown system has a keylogger, it will capture all your activities and your accounts and your security is compromised. Right? So we don't want our accounts or our security to be compromised. Right? So I want you to find a solution on how to protect your accounts or how to protect your passwords when you are accessing internet from third party computers. So think about different scenarios and let me know in the next session tomorrow how you can protect yourself from a keylogger which is on an unknown system. And secondly, coming to our own computer, now you would have installed softwares by downloading it from different sources, right? Now it's not in every case that you go to the official website and download a software, right? So maybe someone has downloaded a software, they have shared it through flash drives, or maybe you went to torrents, you have downloaded the softwares, or you have gone to some other XYZ website and you have downloaded the softwares and all, right? So in such conditions, is there a chance that your computer might have a keylogger? You did not do it wantedly, but say when you download and install some other software, there is a chance that your computer might have been infected, right? It might have a keylogger installed. So I want you to think of a solution on how you can protect your own computer, right? Maybe how to identify the keylogger and how to remove it or some things. I want you to find solution for this two different scenarios and let me know. So will you think of those two different scenarios and let me know in the next session how to protect yourself from keyloggers? So the first scenario, when you're trying to access internet from an unknown computer, right? How will you protect yourself? The second scenario, assuming you have downloaded and installed some softwares and all, right? I want you to see how to check if your computer has a keylogger and if it is having a keylogger, how to remove it. Vijay, when you speak about Windows system registry, everything that you do on Windows computer has an entry in the registry, right? But the challenge is how to identify if it is a keylogger. So that's the reason I'm asking you to think of solutions and let me know. Okay. So think of it, right? We'll discuss the solution in next session. Okay. So once we discuss the solution, we'll also discuss about other cracking methods. Yes, when you speak about keyloggers, Keyloggers are available for all operating systems: Windows, Linux, Mac, iOS, Android, BlackBerry, Symbian, right? Java based, right? And keyloggers are available for simple HTML pages also. So basically, keyloggers are available for every platform. Yes, when we say technology solves one problem but creates 10 problems. And to solve those 10 problems, we keep running behind that. And by the time we solve those 10 issues, you have 100 other issues waiting to be solved. And of course, that's how we people survive, right? Who are into IT. If there are no problems, who's going to hire us? Nagaraj, as of now, we have not even completed with all different attacks, right? So once we understand different kind of attacks, and once we start with how do we protect ourselves, how do we go with the securing part, there you will be there will be discussing like what actually we do in your job and how to identify or how to protect your resources. We'll also do that. So as of now, we are still thinking, we are still learning about how these hackers try to break the things. So once we know how they are breaking into the things, then we'll also discuss how do we protect them so that hackers will not be successful. Okay. So with this, I end the session for today. So tomorrow we'll first discuss with the solution for this, and then we'll continue with other techniques. Thank you all.